All right, the U.S. Ryder Cup team is official. Keegan Bradley made his captain's picks. I think it's not really what I expected. I think a lot of people are upset about it. I actually think it might have turned out really, really well for this side, all things considered. But we're going to get into all my thoughts. We're going to just describe the whole team, and I'm going to talk about why I think Keegan actually made a lot of the right choices here. Now, he started off the podcast or whatever the live on YouTube talking about releasing JT was first, then it was Colin Morikawa, then Ben Griffin, Cameron Young, then Cameron Young spoiled. It was Sam Burns and Patrick Cantlay. I do think that these guys are. We'll go by each one, but I think Keegan made the right choice to keep himself as the main captain. That was the biggest story here. Was he going to be the first playing captain in the Ryder Cup since Arnold Palmer? That's a big thing. That's a lot more golf. That's a lot of responsibility for one guy. And it seems like Keegan has had this team pretty set for a while. There's been a lot of talk in the golf world about how maybe the FedEx Cup, the way that all went down and how well Keegan did and how, less well some other guys did, would have opened up the door for Keegan to become that playing captain. But no, he's sitting out. And the thing with Keegan here is that he has a lot of experience at Bethpage. So he went to St. John's University in Queens, and while he was there, while I was doing research on Bethpage and for the main channel, which I made a video on the money behind the Ryder Cup, and it's kind of crazy. So I'll link that at the end of this. But I think he knows so much about the course. They would let him on, and basically the superintendents there would kind of just let the St. John's kids walk onto the back nine of black, which is unheard of to be able to get on the course that easily. And so, he would get on. He would get on easily. He's played there more than probably any of these guys, including New Yorker Cameron Young, who, we're going to get into. But so he'll know the course incredibly well. Keegan has played in the Ryder Cup before, done a lot of good in the Ryder Cup as well. I was watching some highlights of Tiger Woods back in the day because I'm thinking about making a video on Tiger and because he was kind of disappointing in the Ryder Cup. But I think Keegan, there are pros and cons to him both staying. I'm not opposed to him just being the captain, just leading these guys. I think that's really good. I think that's a ton of experience. And if he were to be the playing captain, he would have had to bring in somebody like Phil Mickelson, probably would have been the guy to help co-captain with him. And it might have just been a little chaotic and a little last minute considering the tournament's in a month. So I'm not that against how it's panned out with Keegan not playing, but I think the biggest issue that a lot of people have is not with Ben Griffin, who statistically has been one of the best of all these captains' picks. All of these guys that were still had a chance of qualifying, statistically he's been the best. Whether it's strokes gained, whether it's top 10 finishes, all of these things, he's that guy. He's played incredible golf this year, and he's kind of new to playing good golf, to playing top-level golf, and you're always kind of uncertain how that will pan out in competitive match play, especially at this level. But I think it's a safe risk considering how good of golf he has played. That being said, JT, I think JT's, he's been a mainstay in the Ryder Cup. I think he's got the personality for it. I think he's tough. I think he's comfortable, and I think he will be good. Whether his game is top 5 in the world or not, I think he can compete solely based on his experience alone. And considering the automatic qualifiers, I think that experience is important, where a lot of these guys have played before, but, Spawn, I'm pretty sure never played. Henley never played. Harris English, I don't know if he was ever in there before. So, we got to compensate for that. I'm perfectly fine with JT, especially with Keegan not playing. We're going to go to Cantlay, and Cantlay specifically, because Cantlay, a lot of people hate him because he takes forever, and I get that. I don't love watching Patrick Cantlay either, but his statistically at match play, competition, Keegan Bradley said it as well, Cantlay's got it. Cantlay's just good at the Ryder Cup. I think he's 5-0-0 in singles matches at the Ryder Cup, which is really, really impressive, and then he has I think it's like 8-6-1 or something. I don't really remember exactly what it was in the team competition during the Ryder Cup. That's fantastic. That is really, really good. That's like significantly better than Tiger's, than Phil's as well. It's impressive. But both of them, I think, were under 50% winning for total Ryder Cup. And they've played so much more Ryder Cup, so it's a little bit different. But Cantlay's good at it for some reason. I don't know, maybe his waggles take forever, or his little stamps. His little stamps are, I don't know what's going on, but they're making the fans, his opponent not play well, I guess. But then comes Sam Burns, so I'm fine with Cantlay. I think he's good. I think he's good for this competition, and until he proves us wrong, proves that he can't compete in the Ryder Cup, he should be continued to getting picked as long as his game is here. Sam Burns is different. Keegan Bradley said he's the best putter in the world, and I think, statistically, sure, you can go with that. I also don't think he's been the biggest competitor in recent months in the PGA Tour, and, I think he had a better beginning of the year, and so his game is around the corner. I think solely being in New York with Scottie Scheffler, who's like his best friend, his homeboy, I'm fine with that. Look, if we got to cater to make the number one player in the world be the number one player in the world, we're going to need some carrying too, because the European team, I think as a whole, like their average quality is probably higher than the U.S. teams, especially with Justin Rose firing, Tommy Fleetwood firing, Rory always there and always ready for the Ryder Cup, Jon Rahm having just won the LIV team competition, whatever that means for you. That's a lot of good golf. And I don't know where Bryson's game necessarily is. JJ Spawn, you never really know. Xander hasn't been good this year. Scotty, obviously great. Henley obviously has been playing really well. There's a lot of question marks here, where there isn't as many in the Ryder Cup team and in the European team. And so if Burns comes in and can just help Scotty be Scottie Scheffler, and maybe they're on the team together, I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of the reason he was picked over the likes of Goddard or Keegan Bradley, who, both of them could have easily been it, and Goddard with his distance, who, he's really broke through this year, winning, I think he won the Scottish, and then made a run at the Open, if I'm not mistaken. He could have been good at Bethpage, considering the length of the course, right? It's a very long course, like 7,500 yards. It's a beast for everybody, for amateurs, for pros, and for touring pros. It's tough. The rough won't be as long this year, though. When I went, it's not as long as it normally is for majors, but it's still going to be a beast of a course. I have some questions about Cameron Young, though. Cameron Young, I mean, there have been, because he just hasn't been the most well-rounded player this year. He's really long off the tee, similar to Goddard, but his putter in recent weeks has been firing. Obviously, he just won. And more importantly to me, though, he won, I think they said, the New York Amateur at Bethpage Black. And being a New Yorker, playing, his dad was the pro at Sleepy Hollow Country Club, which is, I used to live over there. My girlfriend's brothers caddied at Sleepy Hollow Country Club. I think comparing the courses and comparing what else we have in Westchester, I don't live there anymore, to what Bethpage offers, and the fact that Cameron Young absolutely played there several times as a kid, winning that tournament there. You got to have him there. There's a lot of uncertainties in this, and that experience at that course, I think, is very important. It's like if Brooks Koepka was playing in any way good golf, I think having him there, because he won at Bethpage in 2019, could have been an interesting conversation for that experience at the course, like Cameron Young does have. And that's just one of the real benefits that make him a strong pick for me, for being in that position and being a little bit all over the place with his head sometimes. That makes me question a little bit of what he'll do. But I think he's a better pick than Colin Morikawa. And that's interesting. Points-wise, I think he was the 8th points leader or whatever, right behind Justin Thomas in these captain picks positions. But his game is not there. He just hasn't played great golf this season and hasn't been a factor in major tournaments. Obviously, he's been to the Ryder Cup before, and having experience, like I said before, is important. He's only 28 years old. He's close with Scotty, I'm pretty sure, not like best friends like he is with Sam Burns, like Scotty and Sam Burns are, but he came in 8th in the Rocket Classic in was that June, at the end of June, but then a lot of nothing, cut from the Genesis, cut from the Open, top 22nd in the FedEx St. Jude, top 33rd, tied for 33rd at the BMW, and then tied for 19th at the Tour Championship, 14th at the Masters. He came in 2nd at the Arnold Palmer back in March, and the 2nd at the Century in January, but since then only one top 10, a lot of unimpressive golf. And so just based on the quality of golf, I really don't think he deserves it all that much. The fact that Colin Morikawa has been at this level before, has played well. I think that earns potentially some discussion. I think Keegan Bradley, if you're going to keep anybody out, that's Morikawa. And that's genuinely what I think the biggest sentiment I've seen online is, that I don't know if Colin Morikawa belongs here, but I don't know. Guys have been picked before. Like Jordan Spieth was picked before while still not playing good golf, just because he has a good relationship with the guys. And the Ryder Cup is not necessary. It's such a different beast to the normal stroke play tournaments that you never really know. And having a little bit of that comfort, like I've said before, like I've made that point already, is pushes a lot of these guys in favor of going. And considering there's Harris English, Henley, Spawn, Schauffele, whose game hasn't been great, but not a ton of experience there. Ben Griffin as well, young, no experience there. Burns, he has been picked up before, I believe. Having more experience, having a good golfer in theory, which is what Colin Morikawa is in and of itself, I think potentially good. We'll see how it ends up panning out. I think the European team is in a better spot. I think they have their average quality is higher than the U.S. teams, even though the U.S. team has the best player in the world, the U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau as well. Like there are a lot of good guys. Henley has played phenomenal golf in the last couple of weeks, but you don't really know. There's so much confusion about what we're gonna get and how it's gonna pan out that we're gonna just hope that these guys compete at Bethpage and put on an entertaining event for us. I think we got a lot of guys to cheer for. I think Cameron Young is undoubtedly someone I will be losing my mind for as a New Yorker, as someone with connections to Sleepy Hollow, and just hope for a New Yorker to do well. Also, obviously Bryson, obviously Scotty and Spawn and Schauffele. I don't really care about a lot of the other guys. Like Morikawa, I like. JT, I love. Like I like these guys as golfers, as entertaining golf products, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, Morikawa gets mean, plays mean. Cantley speeds up his play. He won't do that at all. Sam Burns and maybe Spawn goes crazy. We'll see what happens. But thank you guys for watching. That's all I wanted to do, a little spiel there. I did make a video on the main channel all about the way the Ryder Cup makes money. So if you want to get more into the Ryder Cup, get into that energy, click right here. I think that's a good thing to do right now. But I'll see all you guys in my next ROLU Golf Talks. Peace. Bye, everybody.